Live from the 607, it's the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking everything movies, TV, comics, and entertainment. Join in the conversation on social media with the hashtag ODPH, because here we go. Welcome to an all-new edition of Fanlight Zone Presents. My name is Ken M. You know me as the host of the ODPH podcast. I'm also the editor-chief here at FLZ. To my left, you're right at home. You know him as one of our comic editors and also the host of 607 TWS, The Wrestling Show. Please give a warm welcome to Rich.
Well, you know, every time we come through for a Fanlight Zone Presents, we always have a great creator. We always have somebody great to talk to. But it's not every day that I can say that we have a friend on who is doing something amazingly cool. So guess what? It's one of those weeks. It's a great week, and I think you're going to enjoy this. Ken?
Oh, I think you're going to enjoy this as well, because not only is it one of our longest friends in the podcast community who's now making the transition into the comics writing world, but he has a fantastic story you need to sign up for on Kickstarter, because let's face it, when two detectives are tracking a serial killer, there's more than meets the eye. And your new favorite Kickstarter project, California Cannibal. Please give a warm welcome to the writer of this. You know him from the Villains Demand podcast. You know him from the Deadly podcast of Kung Fu. It's Justin Raymer. Justin, what is going on?
Excited to be on. Long-time listener, first-time caller. So, I've known you guys a long time, and I cannot thank you how eternally grateful I am for you guys doing this.
We say the term Podern family, if that's still even a thing. I know we're dating ourselves here, but if you really know podcast life, you know that. Justin has always been that, and the fact that we just heard he's doing a comic, finally. Because if you ever talk to him on social media, you know he knows his comics. But especially in a project like this, Justin, how the hell did this all come to be?
So it's funny that we talk about the podcasting family. Mackey's from Piece by Piece, we get dubbed. Years ago, he was talking about writing. And, I was always talking about how I was trying to write comics. He was like, hey, you should try to write short stories. And him and his wife had a whole list of like submissions from like all these little publishers. I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. And I don't want to say exactly what they were looking for because it'll give a lot of the story away. But I was like, you know what, I'll enter this. And that's what we did. And obviously it wasn't accepted. And as time went on, I'm like, you know what, I'll turn this into a comic. And then they had a content creator on for comics, and I hit him up. I was like, hey, if you're looking for writers, take a look at this. He's like, hey, this is great. Could you expand this and explain more on it? And that's how I went from a 400-page short story to what will be 3 issues at the end of this story called The California Cannibal.
Yeah, right on. Like, I mean, that's a great story. Also, when we start talking about all these older things, it makes me remember when I didn't have all the gray in my beard. So I just everybody knows.
Right.
But now that we know how the California Cannibal came to be, it's time for that classic elevator pitch, which now I've been adding lately. Do not limit yourself. If you want to go as in depth as you want to, just don't give it away any spoilers, obviously. But tell everybody what the California Cannibal is all about.
So the pitch, obviously, what I've got on Kickstarter, it's Somerset and Mills from Seven, which is one of my favorite movies, investigate the world of Chud.
Very
short and to the point. I like it.
I like it.
It keeps the mystery going with us.
It's a detective story. There's got to be mystery there.
Exactly. I was going to say, you can't just give everything away, but that's enough of a tease that obviously somebody is immediately hitting the Kickstarter link that's in the liner notes of this episode and signing up. But let's give them a little more about this, because obviously this is your first foray into writing. What do you think has been the biggest challenge now that you're fully set doing this?
As a writer, I would say the biggest challenge is probably setting a good opening, because obviously you need something that grabs someone's attention and that it'll hold them for a whole 22, 24 pages. And even as I write stuff that I'm currently hoping to publish in the future, it is the biggest challenge for me to overcome. I'm obviously a D&D player. And as a DM, I always start, here's my ending, and I work myself backwards. And that's usually my process. The beginning is the hardest thing for me, in my opinion, to write. That's the biggest challenge. After I get the opening set, it usually falls into place pretty fast.
All right.
That seems to be my thing too. I mean, just from writing reviews and stuff.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Sometimes the hardest part is just getting, hey, what do I want to put in this little tiny blurb that goes at the top? So I can definitely understand.
Definitely makes a lot of sense.
Speaking of which, we mentioned earlier some of the inspirations you took for, like, obviously you gave out a couple of them in the elevator pitch, but obviously the characters in this book. What are some of some more inspirations you took for make specifically the detectives in the book?
Well, everybody likes a good detective movie, and I do. My characters, Isaac Miller and Tommy Carter, like I said, there's a little bit of your detective duo there from Seventh. There's a little bit of Lethal Weapon there, a little bit of your detective crew from like Predator 2. And I really took a lot of those aspects of those characters and parts of those movies and kind of created my two primary characters out of that.
Yeah, I think I'm the only one of like three people probably watching this that popped when you said Predator 2.
Because everybody thinks Predator 2 is awful, and it's just as great as the first one, in my opinion.
I'm going to agree. I love Predator 2. That's why I'm saying I'm like one of three people, maybe.
I mean, it's good, but I mean, it can't beat number one. I mean,
I didn't say it beat number one. No, it's good though. I like it.
It's close. It's just it's so close. But that's another discussion for that, because obviously this book coming out on Kickstarter, you've been a fan of Kickstarter for many, many years, but now being on this side of the page, if you will, what has been the experience thus far for you? What's been the biggest pros and cons?
So I don't want to say it's a con, but it's keeping up with I would say, I guess, a production schedule. Making sure pages are done on time, art is complete, getting lettering done. Because I guess the thing I've learned with doing this and dealing with like independent creators is me as a writer, I have one project for the most part. Everybody else works on other projects. So it's getting the time to manage everybody to, get what I need done and have it finished at a time so I can move on to the next part of the project. And I don't want to say that, like I said, I don't want to say it's a con, because it's also a learning experience. And the more you learn about this, the easier it becomes. The pros is meeting people, making connections. We were kind of talking about that before we hit, recording. It's all the connections you make along the way. And to me, it's just like running a comic shop like I used to. It's meeting people and making friends so much outside of the business part, because like my creative team are pretty cool people and I've learned a lot from them being a new guy in the business.
Yeah, and that's always a good thing.
Oh, it definitely is, but definitely shout out your creative team.
So my creative team, pretty international here. I've got a guy named Rock Alvis doing my interiors. I'm a big fan of Bronze Age horror, everything in black and white. So my comic book is black and white. I think if you read horror comics, black and white is the best.
Yes, I agree.
My letters go out to Jerome Gayon. I hope I pronounce all of these right. I've been practicing them all day. They've all made fun of me as I've asked for all this. I've got Betu Gutierrez. He's doing my main covers, and May Coutinho from Brazil is doing my movie homage covers, which I mentioned 7 in the very first homage cover for issue 1 was based on the movie for 7.
Ooh, that's a good one. Always a good one.
She's a beautiful painter. Like, man, just watching the process of her going through that, like every day, updating was literally a thing of beauty to watch. I was pretty blown away.
That's awesome. Being on Kickstarter this time, and we always had, and I know this is the first venture out there, first time doing things. So feel free, because I know everybody has different things that they do. What's in store for like the Kickstarter? Did we have any kind of like add-ons or anything you guys are going for this first issue, or is it more like, hey, let's just get the first issue out there, get it in people's hands, and then we go from there?
So that was the thing I struggled being my first one, like, because you look at all these people's Kickstarters that's been on it forever, and like their tiers are just insane, just the amount of stuff that they can offer. And being new, like, obviously I'm not at the level to offer that. I don't have connections to get some of the things other people have. But like my first tier that I want to get right off the bat, if I can reach it, is preview pages. Something to keep you, the reader, to let you know, hey, this is the ending and this is what's coming, because everybody loves reading a comic, reading that last page, and you want to immediately know what's next. And usually you have to wait a whole month.
Yeah. That's a very important one. Like I said, we've had like I said, across the people that we've talked to about Kickstarters, you get varying answers. Like some go hard in the paint to go some things. I know some go a little less, but once again, it does have a lot to do with where you're at. That's why I've always been a fan of, especially like a first time out, get the book out there.
Yes.
The book is going to speak volumes. The book is what drives everybody. And I think if, especially when you have a great concept like this, it's just tremendous. California Cannibal should be on the top of anybody's list there. And then from there, you can go crazy and ape, if you will.
Well, that's a great thing about it too, because there's enough there that it will hook somebody's interest, but you're not tipping your whole hand, and you're keeping them teased enough that they want to go search for it. It's not like they have to, but there's enough in the project thus far that makes you want to do that. And I think that's something that's very special with any crime story too. Would you say, Jay?
Yeah. I do have some other tiers I'm working on. I have all my concept art, which I love seeing concept art in the back just to see the process of how a character goes together. Page breakdowns, like a lot of Kickstarters, like people want to offer stickers and stuff, but like what I really want to focus on is you, the audience, getting more of what was put into making the book. Everybody can do stickers, but like I want to add more tiers with just, hey, this is all for the book, just to add more to a book. So you get just everything that I can possibly cram in from the book into those pages on the first issue.
Yeah, and there's nothing, like I said, I'm a big forward with the book, especially seeing a lot of first time creators. It is now, don't get bogged down in all the stickers and extra covers. I mean, It's great to have some extra covers. It's great to have all that, but I think that you see something gets lost in the sauce in the product there. And that's just coming from talking to a bunch of different people. So that's always cool to have it in there. And the art and stuff is great for collectors. Like I've always said, Kickstarter is a wonderful place, not just readers, which it is, but it's also a wonderful place for collectors like myself, because then you get all sorts of like cool extra things. And that's one of my favorite things about Kickstarter.
Yeah. Because I mean, that's one interesting point from giving something new to the fans, and especially being a first-time creator, making that first impression. But ultimately, it all just comes back down to the content itself. And especially this being a crime story, what do you think is the key ingredient to making a crime story work in this day and age?
Ooh, that's tough. I would think what I've mainly focused on I'm hoping that would grab people's attention is when I watch crime stories, it's the tale of the killer. Everybody, the heroes, usually it's all the same. It's you want to know the motives and the why, and you want to see, I don't want to call it behind the scenes, but like what they're doing while they're being tracked. And that is like a big focus of issue 1 for this whole story. It's just your A and B plot. So I really put as much time in my killer as I did my detectives to draw the people in, to show you like, hey, there's more to this guy than just being a killer. It's the why do they do everything, not just, murder for the sake of murder.
Yeah, that definitely makes some sense. And with this book, you kind of cross two streams that are, in my opinion, and I've said this and I'll champion this, renaissancing in the comics realm. And that, of course, is true crime, which is huge right now. I mean, even IDW has a true crime imprint, and also horror. And you've got a horror element to this as well. Tell me, was it easier writing the horror element into the true crime, or did you run into some challenges there?
So yeah, I find this funny because, okay, you guys know I used to run a podcast called Crossover Collision. You've both been on it. Very superhero, right? So when I started wanting to write comics, I really found myself drawn to horror more than I did anything. It came very natural to me. Now, writing the detective parts, that was kind of a challenge because I didn't want to just put words in the detectives' mouths and Isaac and Tommy's mouths. I wanted to really point out like, hey, this is what a detective would do. This is what a detective would say. Like on a crime scene, this is exactly what they would point out. Like I was a real stickler for like when I was writing panels to put down, evidence markers. To me, like that was a big thing because, those are for story wise. I really did this later on in the story. Like evidence markers are very important to pointing out clues and what's going on. But I really wanted to nail down the terminology for detective wise. There's a jump ahead here in issue 2. There's a part in issue 2 that I'm particularly proud of when it comes to breaking down the detective side of something, because I did a lot of research into it. And even my artist Ricardo was like, "Man, you put a lot of work into what was said and the details and the research for it." I was like, "Yeah, man." I looked over that for like about a week because I really wanted to make sure that if someone who was in the field read it, it would all make sense. And for you, someone who probably might not have a clue of like forensics terms, would be like, "What does he mean?" And then you go do detective work and go look it up.
Yeah, that's definitely a hard part when you're trying to like uh give people and make it easier for them to follow a story. That's why I was, and when you were saying that, I was like, I would instantly, like, me being a horror lover, would instantly be easily write horror's fine. I could probably do that easier, because my problem with the detective one would been like, am I giving away too much? Because you have to give and take. So like when you're writing that mystery, you have to give enough to like kind of like get people to go in the direction, but you can't give too much for them to guess too early. And I think that would be my biggest, like, if I was doing this, my biggest thing was not giving the story away.
Well, it has to be the biggest challenge, because you want to space it out. You want to really have readers invested, because if everybody solves the mystery right then and there, what's the incentive to come back? So, but putting that much detail into it, I think is just a testament to your work ethic and what fans can expect, because you want to have your money's worth, especially on Kickstarter, but you also want to have like a moment that you go, like, you as a writer go, now I know I've made it. Now I know I have, like, this is the issue. In creating this story, was there a moment, without spoilers, obviously, that you sat and you went like, man, this is it. Like, it's all coming together.
So, yeah, I would say they're in, without spoilers, man.
Yes.
That's the hard part because there's so much stuff I want to talk about. Yeah, there's, like I said, I write things backwards, right? And then once it was all laid out, then you go through and edit it. And there's a moment in the last issue when I wrote it, and I was like, man, I felt it. Like, it's one of them things, like, writers always, get attached to their characters. And just writing these guys for the better part of probably a year, like, you get attached, and when something happens and you see the anguish these guys are going through trying to solve all this, like, it hit me, and I was like, man. And it brought me to tears just writing it. And I was like, oh man, because I felt like this is the moment where people are going to go, wow. And I hope that it catches people's attention in that moment.
Awesome. It's nice to see that kind of emotion, because like, if it catches you and it's coming from you, it usually does transcribe well to everybody else, because that's the beauty of this thing. Like, whenever you're creating something and if you have feelings towards it, it usually does come across. Moving on here, though, you're entering into the indie scene. Kickstarter is a big indie scene, and here at Fanlight Zone, I don't mind saying that we champion the indie scene as well as me. And in 2026, we have quite the independent comic scene. What is your take on independent comics as they stand now? And give it to it as like kind of a fan perspective, but also as somebody who's entering that realm.
So, as a fan, I will go on the record saying I probably read more indie stuff than I do mainstream stuff. And don't get me wrong. I mean, obviously, like, this is the goal right here. I want to ride Iron Fist. That's my guy. But like, I find myself more drawn to indie stuff. And I think that the problem with that is, and there's nothing wrong with mainstream comics, man. I am a diehard Spider-Man fan. I don't care if it's good or it's bad. I beat myself up and I read it. But it's like, there's these characters that we love, and they've been written for so long that it's hard to write anything good for them because it's so long term. But with indie comics, you've got all these guys that will give you a great story in 3 issues, and it's just like 3 or 4 issues, and you want more, but no, this is it. And to me, that gives you at some point some time where you're going to come back and read that, because it's so good. There's no more of it that you're almost like, man, I would just want to go back and read it. And to me, that's what I think the great thing about indie comics is. Like Rich, we were talking about, it's almost like Christmas. You order so much stuff on Kickstarter and it shows up, and I get excited when I get that package. Like, I'll be at work and my wife's like, hey, you got a package from so-and-so. I'm like, oh man, I forgot I ordered that 8 months ago, So like, I get, like we was talking about, I get more excited about what I get from the indies at a Kickstarter than when I go to my local comic book shop.
I mean, and that's completely fair, because right now the scene is just blowing up. And what a time to be a comic fan, because literally the creativity that you're seeing, wherever you're turning, it's like a renaissance, if you will, because there's just so much out there for any kind of fan. And I think that especially hitting the Kickstarter market, that's completely opened everything wide open. Would you say?
I completely agree. Yeah.
It's really opened up.
Oh, go Jay.
And that's the thing. Like, and I know we all hate talking about COVID, but like in a way, that's kind of like what good come out of it. Like, honestly, I didn't know a whole lot about Kickstarter until then, and then we had all these creators, and I was like, man, this is how I can do this, and that's kind of what led me down this path. Like, hey, you can put the effort into a book, and now you can actually go and publish it yourself and not need anybody else's help.
Yeah, and that's really opened up the doors to a lot of creators, because there's a lot of creators that we now know that have started in a Kickstarter set and have now gone on to work for the bigger companies, and they're doing a lot of really cool things. And I mean, it's just a testament to the fans have found it, especially comic fans on Kickstarter have found the niche and go in there and get it. And it's always wonderful to see that take place.
Absolutely. But now a couple fun questions before we let you go, because obviously California Cannibal is going to be somebody's favorite crime story. Mark my words, when you pick this up, you're going to fall in love with it. But what is your favorite crime story of all time, and why?
So I guess I probably should use this maybe when you talk about inspiration. Have you ever read Criminal Macabre from Dark Horse? Cal McDonald Mysteries.
I have not, but it looks like Ken may have, because I've seen him going through his library. He's going through the library. That's what's going on right now.
It's been a while.
So what is it? Is it Steve Niles that did 30 Days of Night? Is that who that is?
Yeah, I do believe.
Yeah. He wrote all this too. Like, I think it was right before 30 Days of Night. Really flew under the radar, and it got bigger and bigger, and they're great. It's supernatural crime, and I love it. Like Cal McDonald grew up. He could see what other people could not see, and then he became a detective and got all these cases that were wild and crazy, and people didn't think like, oh, this is just some BS. And he's like, oh no, there's more to it than what you think. And if you've never read Criminal Macabre, like the very first 5-issue miniseries, and if you read it and you enjoy it, I'm fairly certain that you're going to enjoy the California Cannibal.
Well, I'm now going to read it because it sounds something right up my alley.
Oh, it is. For a guy who used to run a horror podcast, yes, it is right up your alley. Yeah, you'll love it.
I think that's right up my alley. So I will be checking that out for sure. Now, this one's always my favorite to ask, because I like to give it the preface. If we take copyrights off the table, you don't have to worry about lawsuits. You don't have to worry about those dreaded DMCAs, any of that stuff. And you could swap out the Detectives of the Story, Miller and Carter, with any pair in comics. Mind you, I'm even going to make it harder. You can use any pair. They don't even have to be detectives. Who and why would you swap them out for?
So it's got to be a pair.
Yes. You can make it. They don't have to be a duo, a normal duo. You can go crazy with it. You can move this person.
It isn't going to be a new normal duo. I would go with Jason Blood and Etrigan.
Oh,
wow.
Okay.
I mean, that's my favorite DC character. So what I've got going on, I think like they would love to explore the whole dynamics of what this story is about. And obviously you've got two different sides of the coin with Jason Blood and, the demon inside of him. And I would really love to see them walk through what I have written.
I think that would be interesting. Tell it.
That's amazing. No, like I was not predicting. If I was guessing, I was going to say Shang-Chi and Iron Fist.
No.
That's where I was going with it. But I was like, granted, it would have to have a little supernatural thing going on there too.
And it's funny you say that, because like I advertise everything over on Deadly Podcast Kung Fu, and everybody's like, I can't believe you're not writing a martial arts story. I'm like, surprise.
Hey, listen, there's nothing wrong with bait and switching people.
Well, it shows the versatility.
Yeah.
Because with everybody that just knows you from that podcast, and everybody should be subscribing to it, by the way. You're very knowledgeable in that aspect, but you cover so much in comics. Like I say, over the course of history, like if you interact with you on social media, I love the fact that you went in a different direction than everybody was thinking of going to, because your horror too, and especially dabbling in the crime element and making something happen. This is going to be a project that I guarantee you somebody's going to pick up and absolutely fall in love with. And I think the more it's spreading word of mouth. Everybody's going to be clamoring for this project, Jay. And I'm so proud of you for doing this. I can speak on behalf of Rich and the entire FLZ team. We're super amped up for this because we know what you're bringing to the table. We know the blood, sweat, and tears that are going into this. This is all heart and emotion poured into one hell of a crime horror story that, folks, we cannot recommend highly enough. The link is in the Kickstarter note, or the Kickstarter note is in the liner notes. And for the podcast, see, you can tell I am excited because that's when I screw up. But that is a genuine reaction because, honestly, we're all excited for California Cannibal. You should be too. Justin, thank you so much for coming on the show. We definitely have to recap with you after it's all said and done.
Hey, man, I would gladly love to, chalk it up with you guys and talk to you about the issue when it's over after you read it.
Absolutely. I can't wait for that. That'll be a lot of fun.
Let's bang on that.
Now, I do got a surprise for you guys.
Ooh.
So I can't talk about it yet, but I have been accepted into a pretty big comic book anthology. It's coming out next year.
Oh, that's even better.
Oh, man.
So that hard work, those blood, sweat, and tears has finally paid off, and I feel like I've been acknowledged.
All right, that's awesome. Man. That is awesome. That is great news. Great news.
So I hope it is, because man, when I got it, I was like, "Huh, what is this?" And then opened it up, I was like, "Oh shit!" Didn't expect that. So
no, but it goes to a testament of your work, man. And like I say, we've had the pleasure of knowing you for quite some time. I can't wait for the rest of the comic community that is going to see this side of you and get this project in their hands, because, folks, you don't want to miss California Cannibal. Trust me on that. So that said, on behalf of Rich and myself, thank you again for checking out another edition of Fanlight Zone Presents. We'll see you next time.
It's such waste of time, swiping left and swiping right on people you could know. Cause anyone who's worth a damn be worth way more than a picture could ever show. You could find the right light, find the right angle, and never find your soul. And it can feel like a losing battle, and this plot is full of holes. This modern way of finding love just makes me feel so alone. And I can't be the only one sick of staring at my phone. So look up, talk to me, a better way to spend our energy. Just look up, talk to me. We don't have to float alone on the open sea. Don't know that I believe in the old time fable. Everyone has just one true love. All I know is you're across this table, and you're all I'm thinking of. So look up, talk to me, a better way to spend our energy. Just look up, talk to me. We don't have to float alone on the open sea. Talk to me. Talk to me. It's such waste of time, swiping left and swiping right on people you could know. Whoa, whoa.